And I suppose we should thank the representative for her unique perspective on constitutional law. The judge leans back, a practiced smile playing on his lips. It hangs there in the air. Not quite a joke, not quite respectful. The camera finds Jasmine Crockett. She doesn't react immediately. Just a slow blink. Her face is calm, almost neutral. The silence stretches, one beat, two. Someone in the gallery coughs nervously. The judge's smile tightens a fraction. He expected a quick retort, maybe flustered defense. He gets stillness. Observation. Jasmine tilts her head slightly, like she's examining an interesting specimen. Judge Atherton, she begins, her voice even measured. No hint of the sting that comment carried. Are you suggesting my perspective is unique because I represent a district profoundly affected by the inequities we're discussing? Or is it unique for another reason you'd care to articulate? The air crackles. The smile drops from Atherton's face, replaced by a flicker of surprise, then annoyance. He clears his throat, shuffling papers. Representative, let's not misinterpret. I simply meant your background offers a different lens. Valuable, of course. He tries to recover the charm. It sounds hollow now. The gallery murmurs, a low hum of curiosity. Jasmine keeps her eyes locked on his. My background, Judge, includes a Juris Doctor, summa cum laude. It includes years as a public defender, fighting the very real-world consequences of laws debated in rooms like this. It includes being duly elected by my constituents to bring their voice here. Her voice hasn't risen, but the clarity cuts through his practiced deflection. So when you call my perspective unique, I need to understand the premise. Is it my qualifications you find unique, my lived experience, or something else? Atherton shifts in his high-backed chair. He looks trapped. He glances towards the cameras, perhaps remembering this is live. This isn't about you, representative. This is about the proper application of precedent. Let's stick to the facts. He tries to regain control, steer back to procedure. But the shift has happened. The initial awkwardness wasn't hers. It was his veiled dismissal. Now the discomfort sits squarely with him. Jasmine nods slowly. I agree, Judge. Let's stick to the facts. The fact is, the precedent you cite has disproportionately harmed communities like mine. My unique perspective is grounded in that fact. She leans forward just slightly. A perspective I intend to share thoroughly. The judge picks up his gavel, taps it lightly, a nervous habit. The gallery is silent now, watching, waiting. The power dynamic, so clearly defined moments ago, feels suddenly fluid. He thought he'd landed a subtle jab. Instead, he tripped into the open. Judge Atherton tries to regain his footing. He resorts to procedure, a classic move. Representative Crockett, you have the floor, but I must remind you to keep your remarks germane to the statute in question. Section 4, subsection B. His tone is clipped. The earlier forced charm is gone, replaced by brittle formality. He's trying to box her in, use the rules as a shield. Jasmine nods, acknowledging the instruction without yielding an inch emotionally. Thank you, Judge, and rest assured my remarks are entirely germane. They are germane to the lives impacted by Section 4, subsection B, the lives often overlooked when we discuss legal theory in the abstract. She turns slightly, addressing the room but keeping Atherton in her peripheral vision. She begins to lay out her argument, calmly, methodically, detailing the specific impact of the law on housing access in her district, citing statistics, sharing anonymized anecdotes. Her voice remains steady, but there's an undercurrent of controlled passion. Atherton interrupts. Representative, while poignant, these stories, are they strictly necessary for interpreting the statutory language? Let's focus on the text. He sounds impatient, patronizing. Jasmine pauses, turns back to face him fully. Judge, are the consequences of the law not relevant to its interpretation? Are the people affected by our decisions merely footnotes to the text? The question hangs there, simple, direct, devastating. A ripple of murmurs goes through the gallery, louder this time. Someone whispers, she's got him there. Atherton flushes slightly. That's not what I'm suggesting, Representative, but we have a duty to legal precision. He's retreating again, redefining his own words. Jasmine gives another slow blink. It feels like an eternity. Legal precision that ignores human impact isn't precise, Judge. It's incomplete. It's arguably negligent. The word negligent lands hard. It's a direct challenge to his judicial philosophy, to his authority. He grips the edge of his bench. His knuckles are white. Representative Crockett. His voice is tight with suppressed anger. I am citing the established legal framework, Judge. The framework you yourself swore to uphold. A framework that includes understanding the real-world effects of legislation. My perspective isn't unique in its focus on people. It's fundamental to just governance. She holds his gaze, unwavering. He looks away first, glancing down at his notes as if searching for an escape route. The camera zooms in slightly on Atherton's face. A bead of sweat trickles down his temple. He thought he was dealing with an easily dismissed newcomer. He was wrong. The gallery is utterly silent now, everyone leaning forward. They came expecting a dry hearing. They're getting a masterclass in dismantling condescension. Jasmine continues her argument, weaving the human stories back into the legal analysis. Each point lands with precision. Each sentence builds on the last. She's not just arguing the case. She's exposing the bias that tried to silence her before she even began. The power hasn't just shifted. It's consolidating. The air in the hearing room is thick now. You could cut it with a knife. Judge Atherton tries another tactic, sarcasm veiled as professional courtesy. Well, Representative, thank you for that spirited defense of your constituents. Perhaps a bit more suited for the campaign trail than a judicial committee. He smiles thinly. It doesn't reach his eyes. He's trying to diminish her again, frame her passion as inappropriate, unprofessional. A few nervous titters from the gallery, likely staffers aligned with him, quickly stifled. Jasmine doesn't rise to the bait. She lets the comment hang, lets the cheapness of it resonate. Another pause, longer this time, calculated. Judge, she says finally, her voice dangerously soft. Passion for justice doesn't belong only on the campaign trail. It belongs here, especially here, where decisions have tangible consequences. She gestures around the ornate room. Perhaps the issue isn't my passion, but a system that has become too comfortable with dispassionate injustice. Boom! A collective intake of breath from the gallery, audible. Atherton recoils slightly, as if physically struck. That is an outrageous accusation, Representative. His voice cracks, losing its judicial timbre. Is it, Judge, or is it simply an observation based on the documented outcomes of laws like the one we're discussing? Outcomes that disproportionately affect certain communities, often represented by people who look like me. She gestures subtly towards herself. The implication is clear. He didn't just question her credentials. He questioned her right to be passionate about the people she represents. He's visibly flustered now, shuffling papers again, avoiding eye contact. He looks towards his own counsel, a silent plea for help. They offer none, just look down. The committee members beside him shift uncomfortably. This isn't just a debate about a statute anymore. It's about power, privilege, and whose voice gets taken seriously. Jasmine presses on, her tone still remarkably even. You mentioned my unique perspective earlier, Judge. Let me tell you what shapes that perspective. It's sitting with families facing eviction because of loopholes we fail to close. It's visiting schools underfunded because resources are allocated based on outdated, biased formulas. It's fighting for constituents denied basic services because the system isn't built for them. Her voice gains strength, not volume, resonance. That's not campaigning, Judge. That's reporting from the front lines of the laws we create. It's the very definition of germane. She pauses, letting the weight of her words settle. So if my passion makes you uncomfortable, I respectfully suggest you examine why it makes you uncomfortable, not dismiss the substance of my testimony. The silence that follows is profound, heavy. Atherton opens his mouth, then closes it. He has no response. He's been completely outmaneuvered, not through aggression but through calm, irrefutable logic and moral clarity. The camera lingers on Jasmine's face, composed, resolute. The gallery is utterly still, witnessing a demolition. The tension ratchets higher. Every exchange feels like a tightening knot. Judge Atherton seems to realize he's losing control of the narrative, the room, everything. He tries to regain dominance through formality, almost aggression masked as procedure. Representative Crockett, your time is nearly expired. Please conclude your remarks. He snaps the words out, sharp, curt. He glances pointedly at the clock on the wall. Jasmine doesn't rush. She doesn't react to his tone. She maintains her deliberate pace. Thank you, Judge. I have one final point regarding the specific language of subsection B, line 14. She flips to a page in her notes, the picture of calm diligence. It's a performance of control, a stark contrast to Atherton's fraying composure. He taps his pen on the bench. Tap, tap, tap. The sound echoes in the tense silence. It's the only sound besides her voice. She reads the line from the statute, then explains its ambiguity, how that ambiguity has been exploited. Her explanation is concise, legally sharp, and directly tied back to the human impact she described earlier. She connects the dots, abstract language to concrete harm. As she speaks, Atherton leans forward, whispering something to the counsel beside him. He looks agitated, his earlier confidence completely gone. He's looking for an angle, a procedural loophole to shut her down. Jasmine finishes her point, looks directly at Atherton. Therefore, Judge, amending this language isn't just advisable. It is a moral imperative to prevent further harm. My constituents deserve clarity. They deserve fairness. They deserve a law that serves, not subjugates. She closes her binder softly. The click sounds unnaturally loud. Atherton sees his chance. He slams his hand down on the bench, not the gavel, his hand. Representative, you are out of order, attributing motive using inflammatory language like subjugates. This is not a platform for rhetoric. His voice is rising, finally losing the judicial veneer. The gallery gasps. Jasmine remains seated, calm, she doesn't flinch. She looks at him, a long, considering look. It's the kind of look that makes the person on the receiving end squirm. Judge, she says, her voice dropping slightly, becoming even quieter, more focused. Was the language subjugates inflammatory? Or was it simply accurate? Dead silence. Pin drop silence. Atherton stares at her, mouth slightly open, caught completely off guard by the direct, quiet challenge. He expected her to react defensively, to apologize or backtrack. She just asked a question, a devastatingly simple question. The camera pans across the gallery, faces are stunned, watching the judge, waiting for his answer. He can't answer. If he says yes, he confirms the devastating impact she described. If he says no, he looks dismissive of the very real harm she just detailed. Checkmate. He sputters for a moment. This line of discussion is concluded, Representative. He bangs the gavel hard this time, too hard, a sound of frustration, not authority. Jasmine dips her head slightly, a gesture that could be deference but feels like acknowledgement of his surrender. She says nothing more, she doesn't need to. The silence speaks volumes. The power dynamic isn't just flipped, it's shattered. He holds the gavel, but she holds the room. From this point on, the rhythm changes, short sentences, quick cuts, the tension coils. He tried procedure. He tried sarcasm. He tried anger. Nothing worked. Jasmine sits back slightly. Her work is done for now. The air hums. Atherton looks lost, shuffling papers with no purpose. He calls the next speaker, his voice strained. The hearing continues, but the energy is gone. Everyone is replaying the exchange. The quiet question, was it inflammatory or was it accurate? The camera keeps cutting back to Jasmine. Still composed, listening intently. Occasionally making a note. Then back to Atherton. Visibly uncomfortable, avoiding her gaze. The contrast is stark. He, the established authority figure, looks diminished. She, the one he tried to dismiss, radiates quiet strength. The gallery whispers increase between speakers. Did you hear that? He had no answer. She nailed him. The shift is palpable. The initial respect, perhaps tinged with intimidation for the judge, gone. Replaced by something else. A mix of shock, fascination, and for many, admiration for Jasmine. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't resort to insults. She used facts, logic, and unflinching truth. She held up a mirror. He didn't like the reflection. The memory surfaces, not a full flashback, just a feeling. Jasmine remembers law school, a professor much like Atherton, smug, dismissive, telling her she was too passionate for corporate law, suggesting community work might be a better fit. As if passion was a disqualifier, not a fuel. As if justice was an academic exercise. She learned then, don't meet their fire with fire. Meet it with calm, with precision. Let their own heat consume them. It's happening now, live. Atherton fumbles his notes, calls a brief recess, almost flees the room. Jasmine remains seated for a moment, takes a slow sip of water. The cameras linger on her. The audience in the room feels it. Something significant just happened. More than just winning an argument. A mask slipped. A truth was exposed. The quiet power of dignity under fire. The recess is abuzz. Phones are already out, texts flying. The clip hasn't even hit social media yet. But the ripples are starting, inside the room. The recess ends, Atherton returns. He looks smaller, the judicial robe seems too big. His face is pale. He avoids looking towards Jasmine's side of the room. He tries to regain the previous pace, the formality. But it's forced, brittle. Representative Crockett, do you have any further questions for this witness? His voice is flat, devoid of its earlier confidence. Jasmine leans towards the microphone. Just one, Judge, thank you. She addresses the witness, a policy expert. Her question is sharp, technical. Focused entirely on the substance of the testimony. No reference to the earlier confrontation, no gloating. Just professionalism. It makes Atherton's earlier behavior look even worse by comparison. His condescension, her composure. The expert answers, Jasmine listens intently, nods. Thank you, no further questions. She leans back, simple, efficient. The contrast kills him, slowly, visibly. He moves on, but the damage is done. The rest of the hearing feels like an epilogue. The main event is over. Everyone knows what they witnessed. Atherton tries to interject points, tries to reassert control. But his words lack weight now. The gallery watches Jasmine more than him. Her subtle reactions, her focused note-taking. She holds the moral authority in the room. He just holds the gavel, a prop. The memory again, the public defender days. Facing down judges far worse than Atherton. Judges who didn't bother hiding their bias. Who sneered openly, who ruled with impunity. She learned patience then, the long game. Learned that sometimes silence is louder than shouting. Learned that dignity can be a weapon. That memory fuels her stillness now. It's not weakness, it's honed strength. Atherton glances at the clock again, eager for this to end. He pushes the proceedings forward, rushing witnesses, cutting off lines of questioning. Except hers, he doesn't interrupt her again. He wouldn't dare. The subtle shift in his behavior towards her is noted by everyone. He gives her a wide berth now, speaks to her with strained, careful neutrality. It's the uncomfortable respect of the defeated. The hearing finally limps towards its conclusion. Atherton mutters the closing remarks, standard procedural language. It sounds like he's reading a script he doesn't believe anymore. He bangs the gavel one last time, a dull thud. Adjourned. He practically bolts from the bench, doesn't make eye contact with anyone. The gallery begins to file out, buzzing, excited. Reporters are already rushing towards Jasmine. Jasmine gathers her papers slowly, methodically. She doesn't rush, doesn't seek out the cameras. But they find her, microphones appear, flashing lights. Representative Crockett, your reaction to the judge's comments. Did you feel his line of questioning was appropriate? How did you maintain your composure? She offers a small, polite smile, not triumphant, just calm. My focus today was on the substance of the bill and its impact on the people I represent. I believe my testimony addressed those points clearly. A measured response, giving them nothing personal, nothing inflammatory. But representative, his tone, the unique perspective comment. She meets the reporter's eye. I believe the record speaks for itself. The judge's comments and my responses are part of that public record. My concern remains the legislation and the people it affects. She's refusing to make it about her. She keeps redirecting to the issue. It's masterful. It denies Atherton the chance to frame this as a personal spat. She sidesteps the bait, elevates the conversation. Another reporter pushes. Do you believe the judge showed bias? Jasmine pauses, considers the question. I believe every person in that room brings their own experiences and perspectives. My job is to ensure the perspective of my constituents is heard and respected, regardless of any preconceived notions they may encounter. She's answering, but not in the way they want. No soundbite accusation. Just quiet, firm reiteration of her purpose. She manages to move through the throng. Staffers flank her. The cameras follow her down the hall. The image is powerful, her calm departure against the backdrop of the buzzing, agitated crowd. Meanwhile, Atherton is nowhere to be seen, slipped out a side door. The contrast lingers. Her presence, his absence. Inside the hearing room, people are still talking, replaying the key moments. That pause, that question, was it inflammatory or was it accurate? It hangs in the air long after they've left. The seed of the viral moment has been planted. Now it just needs the internet. The clip hits Twitter first, less than an hour after the hearing adjourns. Someone had a phone camera running, shaky but clear enough. Just the key exchange, Atherton's condescending, unique perspective. Jasmine's calm dissection, his procedural shields, her steady advance, the climax. Was it inflammatory, or was it accurate? The silence, Atherton's sputtering, the gavel bang. It's electric. The tweet explodes, retweets, quote tweets, likes. Jasmine Crockett, Judge Atherton legislative hearing mic drop. The hashtags start trending within minutes. Initial reactions are visceral. OMG, watch this. The audacity of that judge. She absolutely dismantled him without breaking a sweat. This is how you handle bias. Then come the deeper takes. Political commentators weigh in. A masterclass in navigating condescension and veiled bias in halls of power. Crockett exposes the rot often hidden behind judicial robes. Atherton's career might not recover from this. Think pieces start appearing online. The quiet power of Jasmine Crockett's stand. Why was it accurate? Is the question every biased authority figure dreads. Unique perspectives, decoding the language of dismissal. Cable news picks it up. Evening segments replay the clip, pundits debate. One side praises Crockett's poise and intellect. The other tries to defend Atherton, frame it as a misunderstanding, or criticize Crockett for being disrespectful to the bench. But the visual tells the story, his fluster, her calm. The defense rings hollow. TikTok discovers it, duets galore. Users reenact the scene, lip-syncing Jasmine's lines, adding dramatic music. Teenagers explain the power dynamics to their followers. Law students break down the legal and procedural points. Black women share stories of similar microaggressions faced in their own careers. Being Blackhand professional. The clip becomes a symbol of speaking truth to power, of maintaining dignity under pressure, of exposing bias with surgical precision. Jasmine herself stays relatively quiet online, retweets a few supportive messages, issues a calm statement reiterating her focus on the legislative work. She doesn't pour gasoline on the fire. She doesn't need to. The internet is doing it for her. Atherton's office releases a terse statement. The judge regrets if his remarks were misinterpreted. His focus remains on fair and impartial application of the law. Nobody buys it. The damage is too visible, too raw. The phrase, "was it accurate?" becomes a meme, used in completely unrelated contexts online to call out BS. T-shirts appear online almost overnight, just the quote. The ripple effect spreads. The story dominates the news cycle for days. Morning shows dissect the body language, the pauses, the slow blinks. Notice how she never breaks eye contact here. See how he physically recoils when she asks the question. Podcasters dedicate entire episodes. Legal podcasts analyze the procedural fouls and Atherton's loss of judicial temperament. Political podcasts discuss the broader implications for representation and power dynamics in government. Cultural podcasts talk about the specific context of Black women challenging authority. Calls come for Atherton's recusal from related cases. Some demand investigation or censure. His reputation, carefully cultivated over decades, is shattering in real time. Old clips of him resurface. Other instances of questionable remarks or biased behavior. A pattern emerges. He becomes the archetype of the powerful man, undone by his own hubris and prejudice. Jasmine Crockett, meanwhile, experiences a surge in national recognition. Her profile elevates dramatically, not just as a politician, but as a figure of resilience and sharp intellect. Invitations pour in, speaking engagements, major interviews. She handles it all with the same measured calm, always redirecting back to the work, the issues, the constituents. She refuses to be defined solely by that one viral moment. But the moment has undeniably changed things. It gave voice to a frustration felt by many who navigate similar dynamics daily. The quiet way she dismantled him resonated more deeply than any shouting match could. It was the power of restraint, the power of truth spoken plainly. There's a flashback clearer this time. Her grandmother telling a young Jasmine facing playground bullies. Don't let them see you sweat, baby. Stand tall, speak clear. Your truth is stronger than their noise. That advice echoed in the hearing room. It echoes in her handling of the aftermath. The legislation they were debating, it gets renewed attention. Suddenly, Section 4, subsection B, is being discussed everywhere. Advocacy groups seize the moment, amplifying the need for the amendment she proposed. The spotlight she shone on the issue, inadvertently amplified by Atherton's meltdown, creates pressure. Other committee members, perhaps sensing the shift in public mood, start expressing support for changes. Atherton remains silent, absent from public view. Rumors swirl about his future. The online commentary continues, but starts to broaden. From outrage at the judge to appreciation for Crockett's skill. From analyzing the confrontation to discussing the actual policy. She didn't just win the moment, she leveraged it. The final part isn't a victory lap, it's resonance. The hearing room feels different now when Jasmine speaks. There's a weight to her presence, a quiet respect. Even those who disagree with her politically seem to listen more closely. Atherton is eventually reassigned, not officially disciplined but moved off high-profile committees, a quiet sidelining. He fades from the news cycle, a cautionary tale. Jasmine continues her work, unchanged in demeanor, still calm, still precise. But something has changed. The power dynamic in many rooms she enters feels subtly altered. People know who she is. They know what she's capable of. They know she doesn't back down. The online frenzy eventually subsides, as it always does. But the core moment, was it accurate, enters the cultural lexicon. A shorthand for challenging biased authority. A reminder of the power of quiet truth. The amendment to Section 4, subsection B eventually passes, strengthened, clarified. It's a tangible victory born from that confrontational moment. A direct result of her refusal to be dismissed. She doesn't claim personal credit in public statements. She credits the advocates, the constituents, the collaborative effort. But everyone knows her role. The final scene isn't applause or celebration. It's Jasmine back in her district, meeting with constituents. Listening to their concerns, same focus, same calm intensity. The camera holds on her face, listening, really listening. The contrast with Atherton's dismissive arrogance is implicit, never stated, just shown. Her unique perspective wasn't a deviation. It was the entire point. the connection to the people she serves, the reason she fights. The screen fades slowly. No call to action, no website link. Just the lingering image of her composure. The echo of her question. The quiet power that caused an eruption. And the uncomfortable respect she commanded, simply by speaking truth. The silence in the end was hers.